to companies they work for. They can handle multiple tasks and can easily change their priorities. You need to be an adapter in this day and time. Also, people resist change because they're engaging in too much negative thinking. Too much negative thinking. It's not going to work. Hey, listen, I have to ask you this one. Have you ever remembered that cartoon called Gilligan Island? There was a guy who, on this particular cartoon, who always says, "We'll never make it. I just know we won't." I mean, anything that they would set their mind to do, anything that they would venture out to do, that was his testimony. We will never make it. I just know we won't. That negative voice, that negative thinking. Do you know what I believe that's going to be on the headstone or the tombstone or whatever you want to call it when somebody dies and they're buried of a negative person? I just knew that this would happen. That's what's going to be on their tombstone, because that's how negative people think. Don't engage in negative thinking during trains and transition. You have to feed yourself on more positive things. While I'm a very informative person, I'm well abreast of what's going on in my neighborhood, what's going on nationally and internationally in the news. But yet I don't feed myself this 3 and 4 hours, because what you will find out is that it will develop within you this negative thinking. And all of a sudden you're wondering, why am I depressed? Well, you're depressed because you keep engaging in this type of process. So that's another reason why people resist change. Let's go back to the slide. Also, people resist change because change requires additional commitment. If you ask somebody to do something differently, you notice that it's going to take more time. And time is the most precious commodity for many people. So whenever change is about to happen, we'll take a look and see how, basically it's going to affect us and how it's going to affect our time. That's how people weigh changes a lot of times. And then lastly, tradition resists change. There's a lot of people who are traditional, especially even in the workplace. We expect things to stay the same. Have you ever been a part of a group? And here it is, you're laying out all these brilliant ideas and these brilliant thoughts, and then all of a sudden you hear this phrase, "Oh, we always do things this way." No, I'm sorry. That can't be done because we always do it this way. That's called tradition, my friend. I've been a part of many groups and many people who think the same way, but I came in as that mover and shaker. Sometimes you have to be that mover and shaker and shake them out of that type of thinking. Now I have a joke. How many people does it take to change a light bulb? Help me out here. How many? Did I hear 1? Did I hear 4? Did I hear 5? Well, my answer is 4. You're probably asking, Dana, why are you saying it takes 4 people time to change a light bulb? Well, I believe you have to have one guy who gets up there and basically unscrews the light bulb and puts the new light bulb in. Then you have always these 3 others who reminisce and sit there with that old bulb and talk about how good the old bulb is. My point exactly. Tradition resists change. Get rid of your tradition. While some traditions are very good, I will always embrace traditions in my heart. Some will not be conducive for your career. You have to get rid of that old thinking, that old negative thinking, get rid of the traditions of the past, and begin to set yourself on a new course and path. Let's go back to the slide, because I want to talk about the 2 types of change, because, sometimes change is self-imposed or just imposed. What do I mean by self-imposed? Well, if you're buying a new home, this is usually change we impose upon ourselves. If you're moving into a new home, that's the change. But you're still learning to let go of the way things were, and that's the transition. Now, that's self-imposed change. I did that change on my own, but what about imposed change? What if your boss walks in and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, you have to take a pay cut." Or, "I'm sorry, you won't get bonuses this year." Or, "I'm sorry, we're having rifts and we're going to have to let you go." Either way, change will happen, whether it's self-imposed change or imposed change. I work in the legal environment quite a bit. I have a lot of legal clients. And I remember the days where shorthand and transcription was the key. As a matter of fact, I took Greg shorthand. I was doing 80 in shorthand when I got out of high school. But now we don't even longer need to use the shorthand and transcription because we have dictaphones that people use. You remember the days of typewriters? Oh man, I reminisce on the whiteout and hearing that bell when you get to the end of a sentence. You remember you have to grab that bar and swing it back and you hear ding. That's the days of the typewriters. No longer, because now we have computers. Let's go back to the slide. I want to show you here the comparison of how things have changed as time have gone along. I'm sure you probably, I may be telling my age here, but back in the Wang days when we used word processors, just those little Wang machines that was plugged up to what I call a mainframe, and that's how everybody did their word processing. Not anymore. Now today, people are using Microsoft applications and WordPerfect applications. I remember a day where everybody sort of typed out their bills when they wanted to bill their clients. Not anymore. Now bills are done electronically. Everything is electronically done with their clients where the clients can come in and see their services. People are no longer pulling documents from filing cabinets. They're pulling it from document management systems. Now you have management systems that keep documents by numbers, by numerically numbering them. Remember the days of the pink message pads? If you're still using it, it may be telling you that you're not going along with the trend. No longer we have voicemail. I remember the days of in-hand deliveries, when you had to deliver something by hand. Not anymore. Now our court systems are accepting filing online. You can literally file for marriage and divorce online in many courts. But change will happen. Just think about the values between the 1950s and the 1990s. In the 50s, here are some of the values that sort of highlighted the 50s. It was a time of saving, whereas in the 90s, time of spending. In the 50s, delayed gratification. Now, it's all about give it to me now. Look at the motto of Nike, just do it. If you want it, if you thirst for it, do it now. See, all of these mottos basically appeal to the instant gratification. In the 50s, it was all about achievement. Now, it's all about fame, American Idol. In the 50s, there was a great degree of certainty. Now we're living in a time where there's great ambivalence. In the 50s, a lot of investing was going on. Now it's all about leveraging, and now we're suffering the repercussions as a result of it. In the 50s, it was all about neighborhood. I remember when my neighbors were given permission to spank me. That's right, spank me. And I didn't have to worry about somebody coming out with a gun or somebody wanting to fight my parents because of it. No, it's a neighborhood thing. Now it's all about lifestyle. In the 50s, they were great with manufacturing. Now it's all about service. So our times have changed. Then the question is, how are you dealing with the change personally? I want to show you this graph because I believe that this graph depicts how a person deals with change and transition. Now, I want you to read the graph from left to right. You notice at the very bottom when you have age, it ranges from the age of 0 to 50. And let me just give you history about this graph. This graph was composed by a bereavement council who basically wanted to study how people handle bereavement and life experience, midlife crisis, call it what you will. But this is an illustration of how relatively normal people's lives usually are, where it has okay, you see the line going across, and then you have low points that represent transition. And the transition is when it goes down below okay. That's a typical time lag between key events and subsequent distresses. So this is what I consider the normal transition recovery that basically will follow people's lives. Let's say, for instance, you have a birth of a sibling. That's really good. People get excited about this. And then all of a sudden, they have to start school. Oh, it's a lot of stress. You have to meet new friends, new family. So notice how the line goes down into the distress area. But the person joins a team. They join a stool team. They become a part of a group. They feel like family. So there it is. It goes back up. And notice where it says school team, that's good times. Then all of a sudden your parents move, new position, new job, you have to change schools. Then we go back down again. All the way to when you pass exam, when you start college, to when you get married, to when you have children, to basically the death of your parents. You see all of these changes that goes on in a person's life, but the question is, did you transition out of it? That's the question. You should never let your line stay below okay, because this is where your health